that they were
Couldn't turn it down.
winning the Shark Tank for her organization. It was weird to have the
I need you to tap down.
Say again?
We have a 5-6 pause while we have a commercial break. It's like, oh, that's fine. Okay. Are we good? Do you think? Who knows? All right, I guess we're good. Okay. Well, for those of you that didn't get the sound on the first part of the message, where I was just talking about the things happening on the earth and the crises and then the fires up in Canada and affecting the animals as well, and how deeply that just hurts my soul. And how it begs the question of how do we remain hopeful without pretending that these things are not happening? Sticking our head in the sand doesn't necessarily help. It might, but because we still know it's happening. So how do we stay spiritually centered when things are suffering and there's so much suffering going on in the world? Just to say, or to tell somebody stay out of fear, or to think that to yourself, oh, I just have to stay out of fear. It's not enough. I can tell you that if the bombs were going off for us here, like they are in other parts of the world, fear would be kicking in big time for every one of us, you know. So it's not realistic to just, oh, I'm not going to be fearful. As Spirit is not asking us to deny suffering or to pretend that we're not afraid, but it's asking us to meet it in a higher consciousness. We can witness pain without becoming pain, and we can care deeply without living in fear. And it's that next step of where to take our emotions and our thoughts and our awareness. A lighthouse doesn't chase the storm. I heard that saying. Isn't that a lovely one? It remains firmly anchored while offering light. And each one of us can be a spiritual lighthouse or a source of light for other people to see hope. And we need to remember that we repeatedly nourish, or we need to repeatedly remember that we nourish and things that grow that we're paying attention to. We're nourishing it by our attention. And so as I wrestle with this conundrum, I feel the conundrum of these two mindsets and the two things that are happening. I ask myself, how do I stay heart-centered? And I have to ask myself, what am I nourishing with my attention? And what am I feeding into the fear? I can be afraid, but not feed into the fear. And as we know, energy flows where there's attention. So our attention is a very rich commodity. So I recently learned that there's a difference between optimism and spiritual hope. And I really liked that, the difference between those two. So let me talk about that for a minute. Optimism is everything will work out, meaning the way we want it to, or the way that makes us comfortable. Oh, don't worry about it. It'll all work out. Whereas spiritual hope says whatever happens, the divine is present. It allows that space for what is to really happen and show up and still be in that space of connectedness. Or it can say, I can choose to respond with love no matter what happens. So this perspective allows us to honestly acknowledge that suffering is present, but remain rooted in faith rather than denial. So while we cannot control every event in this world, we can influence the energy that we contribute to the world. If I spend every day consumed by anger, then I contribute to the anger of the world. If I cultivate peace, then I'm contributing peace to the world. So the bottom line is darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. But what is light? It is your love. It is your peaceful heart. It is your compassion. It is your connection and expression of the divine through you. You can't simply think away the world's problems or do what the old timers used to do. I wish we could do that. Sit around the old wooden stove at the local grocery store or meeting place and talk about the world problems and think you could do it so much better and then go home and have, whatever. The world is now very complicated, and it's very different, very complicated compared to what it was then. Co-creating. That's a key word. Co-creating with the divine, which is already within us. We can co-create through the power of manifestation. And manifestation is aligning our thoughts, our emotions, our intentions, and our actions with the divine love or divine will. And how does that work? Even though our hearts break over the suffering and the terrible losses that people experience, or we might be experiencing ourselves in some way, we don't have to deny that it's real and not allow ourselves to fall into that pit of despair and hopelessness. But what matters is getting back up and coming back out of it. Because on the other side of this, we must remember that we're powerful beings. And we are the embodiment of divine power. It's not separate from us. It's not out there. It's within us. We align our will with divine will. And that is that unwavering love, that unwavering compassion, and remembering that every loving thought becomes a seed in the collective. Every act of kindness shifts the collective. That principle is one of the primary principles that Joe Dispenza teaches in his conferences, that aligning our will with divine will. And that's the power of manifestation. That's the power of the divine acting out in our life, and showing up. So my consciousness of kindness and caring right now is that because of the weather outside, it's hot. My personal thing is to carry water in my car, and it's right behind the seat, right there where I can reach it. So when I pull up to a corner and there's somebody panhandling, I can hand out bottles of water out there to the people that are on the corners. And if they have dogs, they get 4 bottles, because I want to make sure that they can water their dogs as well. And if I have a few dollars, I always pull out the ones from my wallet and put them in the console, so I can hand out a couple of ones if Spirit says, yep, support that person this way. Then I can hand them money as well. So that's my little act of kindness. It's a small thing, but I'm praying that is contributing to the collective well-being of the world and making a difference. Welcome, Daniel. So also know that your prayer for others, you too are being changed by the frequency. When you're praying, you change the frequency. You change the frequency of what goes out, and that changes the world. So as you're praying, you change the frequency for the other person. You change the frequency for you, because you're thinking those positive, kind thoughts. You're changing your energy signature, and you're changing the world. So it's that rippling effect. So don't underestimate the power of your prayer. So as you grow in your understanding that we're all one, it really drives the understanding that every act of kindness and likewise every mean thing adds to the collective. So what ingredients are you adding to the collective in your thoughts, deeds, and actions? It's something we can all think about and ponder. So what can we do? The issues are complex. So we must keep the solutions simple. One of the suggestions is to begin your morning with a pause of gratitude before you pick up your phone, before you check for your messages. Just take that moment to build a foundation for your day on gratitude, and let that be what you start your day out with. That's one idea. And it's okay to stay informed. Sometimes the news is too much. We have to just turn away from it, and that's okay too. But but don't feel guilty by staying informed. The difference is, uh, don't immerse yourself in it. You get hooked onto it. They design the news, they design the internet, whatever feed we're getting our news from, to keep us hooked. And so to be greater than that, to just get the information you need that helps you feel informed, help you give an idea of what's next, or what direction to do, or how to be with things. Because we don't want to be shocked and surprised by some event coming at us that we didn't even know about, but yet everybody else knew. Oh, I didn't even know, which is great to not know, but it's only up to a point. So know what's going on if that makes you feel comfortable, but don't immerse yourself in it, and protect your energies. Protect your energy so it doesn't drain you, so that you're not losing your vitality through through what's going on. And do things that either bring you back to the here and now, or keep you grounded in this present moment. Simple things. It doesn't have to be complicated. We don't have to sit for hours and hours in meditation. We can just do simple things to keep us grounded in the here and now, like adding flowers to your environment and just appreciating that, generating that feeling of appreciation. Cooking a good meal, if that's your happy place, or eating a good meal, if that's your happy place. Yeah, I did a little canning and a little cooking the other day. I was home for an entire day. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm home all day. What can I do? And I had a whole list of things, but what I wound up doing was going to my happy place, and I did some canning and I did some cooking. So that was one of them that kept me grounded. Playing music, if you're a musician, or playing music if you just appreciate good music, keeps you grounded. Finding reasons to laugh. Laughter is so important. So finding reasons to laugh. Or digging in your garden. Where's our Karen? Digging in your garden. That's her happy place. Yeah. There's a saying that beauty is the resistance to despair. I love that. Another thing to keep in mind is to pray and send out thoughts intentionally. Saying prayers and saying affirmations is very similar. But it's not quite the same thing, but it's really, really similar. You can have affirmative prayers. Christy is really good at that. She's our affirmative prayer. Does that make sense? Prayer. Yeah. If you struggle with the idea of praying, just think of it as an affirmation. It doesn't have to be some big religious thing. It can just be what your heart sings and what your heart's saying. Putting words out there in the collective is the whole point of it all. Instead of saying things like, well, I sure hope things don't get any worse, we can say words from certainty, from creation, such as, I affirm peace and awakening in humanity. Or we can say, I see compassion growing. Those affirmative prayers of what we want to see in the world. It's in the direction of what we want to see and how we want the world to be. And that's that co-creative process that I was talking about. We're co-creating through those words. So we can't stop the storm. We can't stop the events of the world directly, but we can decide how we're going to presence ourselves within the storm or within the events. History has never been changed by fear. History has always been changed by people who refuse to let fear become the final word. It's seen by people or changed by people who stood in great courage in the face of fear. Even though they were fearful, they still stood with great courage for principles of rightness or principles that had integrity. So they held on to their courage, even though it would have been easier to cave and give in a little bit. So every day we choose kindness over judgment, we make the world a better place. Every day that we choose hope for ourselves, we're giving others the opportunity to choose hope by example and by that radiant energy. And these kinds of choices allow us to participate in the healing of the world. So remember, you're not powerless observers of life. We're conscious co-creators with the divine. And may our thoughts be guided by wisdom from the vast experiences of life that each one of us has had, and keeping our hearts open, expressing the love that is within each one of us. And may our actions be expressions of kindness. Each thought, word, and action sends a ripple out in the world, like I've already said, but it feels good to say it again. It reminds us, it does send a ripple out in the world, and it helps us to remember that the world is the presence of the divine. It's there. It's always within us. It's always within everyone. I want to leave you with one last thought to take with you. Being spiritual doesn't mean pretending darkness doesn't exist or avoiding it. It means remembering that darkness is not the only reality. We can witness suffering with an open heart while choosing not to surrender our inner peace. And peace is not the absence of turmoil. It is the presence of the divine within us in the midst of the turmoil. Hope is not something we wait for. Hope is something we become as that beacon of light. Yeah. So I'm going to have a little guided meditation. So close your eyes and get yourself comfortable. So imagine that you are holding a candle. Notice how even one small flame pushes back the darkness around you. Notice how it transforms the space around you. Remember the feeling you have when everything is dark and spooky, and then you turn on the light, and the relief that nothing is what it seemed in the dark. Notice its warmth. Feel the peace. And now notice another candle nearby. Now another and another. Now there are hundreds of lights glowing all around. None of them are trying to overpower the darkness. They are just simply shining. As the light of each candle that each person is holding, the light is multiplied and so much brighter. Each one of us is a candle in the world. You bring a beautiful light to the world simply by choosing to shine. You are not here to curse the darkness. We are here to remember we are the light. Carry this light with you when you leave here today and be the light that gives others spiritual hope. And so it is. All right. Is everybody back with me? Yeah, good. You just look a little brighter out there, I have to say. You got your light shining. All right, so we're going to do the offering for the home center. And as we prepare our offering to the home center, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, generosity, and sacred intention. We know that we are a part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket is going around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and for continuing to support our good works. And so it is. All right. So I'm going to invite Reverend Lynn up here to share a little inspiration and to have our closing prayer. You don't have to stay in the box.
It's so hard. I don't think it will be when there's
For our
wood.
online audience, we have a little box down here on the floor to see where we need to put our little platform.
For little people.
For little people, they can't see the ground.
I know. I love it. Oh, well. I'm back. I am into nature this week, so please enjoy this. This is a story about the little pine tree. Once upon a time, in a green forest, a little pine tree had sharp needles instead of soft leaves. The little pine tree looked at the other trees and felt sad. I wish I had shiny gold leaves like the tree next to me, it said. A magic fairy heard the wish. I believe in fairies. Magic fairy heard the wish, and that night she turned the sharp needles into bright gold leaves. The little pine tree felt so proud, so proud. But soon a bad thief came by and stole all the gold leaves off the tree and ran away. And the pine tree was left cold and sad. And then the tree said, I wish I had sparkling glass leaves instead. The fairy came back and granted the wish, and the sun shone on the glass leaves, making them look so pretty. But a strong wind blew that afternoon, and all the glass leaves shattered. They were gone. They were shattered into tiny little pieces. And the little pine tree cried, I wish I had soft green leaves. And the fairy gave it green leaves, but a hungry goat came by and ate the leaves. The little pine tree bowed its head and whispered, I do not want fancy leaves anymore. My own sharp green needles are the best. They keep me safe from thieves, wind, and goats. The fairy smiled and gave back the sharp needles to the tree. The moral of the story is, be happy and joyful with who you are. Trying to be someone else can bring trouble. So I liked that. And now join me in our closing prayer. Let us recognize that there is one infinite power, one divine presence, ever available, ever expressing. The presence is love itself. It is eternal, wise, and complete. It is the source of all life, moving in perfect harmony through every breath, every moment, and every being. This divine love is us, and we are one with it. The very love that holds the world together holds us. It flows through us as peace, as clarity, as unwavering strength. We are all and every soul. We all are and every soul is a living expression of wholeness, of light and love. Resting in the heart of love, we remember the truth of who we are. From this still place, we embrace all experiences as part of the unfolding of our highest good, choosing to move through life with grace, anchored by spiritual practice, uplifted by divine presence, and supported by the living intelligence that governs all things. Let's claim this truth for ourselves and for all that we are held, guided, and nourished by. This, the purest, most joyful love. Let us all trust and rest in our heart of love. And so it is. And I would like to thank a spiritual practitioner, Kelly Marshall, where I have taken a lot of this information for the prayer. It touched me, and I hope it touched your hearts also. I want to say thank you to our online community now. We enjoy your comments and knowing that you have been with us this morning. From our hearts to yours, live your week with love and joy, and we'll see you next Sunday at Home Spiritual Center. Thank you. And Madge, would you like to?
Sounds right.